Elimination Chamber from Perth, Australia is history. 3.5 hour pay-per-view. It started at 5 a.m. Eastern, United States time, of course, and ended around 8:30 a.m. So they went an extra half hour, and there was a pre-show match, which I don't remember them announcing a pre-show match at all. Maybe they did it on SmackDown last night, which I didn't get to watch, but I don't recall them announcing it. I know I woke up at like 4:45 and turned on the TV, and there was wrestling, and I was like, oh, they must have had a pre-show match. So I got to see the last few minutes of the pre-show match. We're going to go over the pay-per-view here on this video. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, or PLE, whatever, from Perth, Australia, in that giant, opioid stadium or whatever it was called. Big place, very wide. I can't even imagine being able to see the ring. It must have been so difficult because not only do you have the fact that it's a big, wide stadium, but you've also got the fact that the Elimination Chamber can block your sight, because it's a big structure around the ring, so it makes it harder to see. So people were probably looking at the big screens and whatnot to kind of get a clearer picture of what's going on. But I had the best seat in the house, which is my house, and that was cool. So the Kabuki Warriors against Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae was the pre-show match. Kabuki Warriors won. I don't recall there being a story behind this one. It's one of those, let's just throw a match on there, an extra match. I don't even remember when it was announced. I don't even recall it being announced at all. So they opened up with the Women's Elimination Chamber match. And as expected, Becky Lynch won. See, the thing about this show is that this was an okay show. I'm not saying it was a bad show, but it was very predictable. Not only was I able to predict every match outcome, but I literally predicted every single elimination in the men's chamber match as the show was going on, in order, and who was going to do the run-ins, except for the very last one, which we'll get to. So again, predictable show, and some folks are going to dislike it just because it was predictable, but it wasn't bad. So you've got Becky Lynch. She won the Women's Chamber, beating Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez. This was a good match. I still feel like these recent chambers, I don't know, man. The Elimination Chamber I felt was more special back in the early days, like 02, the 03 one, the 05 one, and even like when they had it as a pay-per-view or as an attraction on the February pay-per-view, No Way Out. To this day, the 2009 Chamber show, or I think it was No Way Out in 09, that's still the best one. Like, after that, they kind of all have not been able to really reach those heights. It's just, there's only so much you can do in there. And it almost feels like the more we watch, like, wrestling and the more we see these matches, the less spectacular they become. But the women all worked very hard. Naomi, fresh back from the company, really worked hard. Tiffany Stratton is crazy because she's very thin and petite, but yet she can go. And that's, usually, like, she's not, like, very muscular. Kind of reminds me of Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan, where they have, like, pretty normal, like, female bodies, but they don't have, like, they're not big like Rhea Ripley, like, wide back like Raquel Rodriguez. You know what I'm saying? So seeing them, they all worked hard. I mean, they all worked hard. Everybody kind of had their moment in the sun. It ended with Becky Lynch and, Liv Morgan pinned Belair with a roll-up, and then Becky Lynch got her in the manhandle slam to get the 1-2-3. So Becky Lynch will be facing Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. If Rhea Ripley could get past Nia Jax, I wonder. I mean, they even gave that match away during that kickoff show a couple weeks ago on that Thursday. It should be no surprise. Again, predictable outcomes. Then they had the WWE Tag Team Champions, Damian Priest and Finn Balor, over the New Catch Republic, which is Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate. This was a phenomenal tag team match. Like, this was phenomenal. Like, New Catch Republic were given so much here. It's funny because the way this match was structured, it was a seesaw match, but it wasn't that much of a seesaw match. Meaning, it didn't go as back and forth as you would think. Meaning, like the baby faces had a few moments in the match where they were just destroying the heels. Like New Catch Republic at one point was dominating, and then when the heels took over, they had this really long heat spot. Like, and they kind of worked that for the rest of the story of the match. Now, as the match went on, Dominic Mysterio kept like screwing them over. Like he kept like, saving his team from the outside until finally the referee, Tyler Bate, tells the referee what happened. The referee realizes it and kicks Dominic out, and that was cool. Like that was pretty damn funny. But I knew that was going to happen too, and that's okay because it's just classic wrestling. So the final sequence of the match, and again, this was really good. Go out of your way to see it. New Catch Republic do a burning hammer, like a double burning hammer on Priest, but it was a 2 count. And then they try to do this top rope move, but what happens is Balor grabs Damian Priest's foot, and then like on the top so he wouldn't go down. I think it was supposed to be a Spanish fly. Instead, he hits a double choke slam, and then Fowler jumps up and does the coup de grace, the double stomp on Pete Dunne. So they retain the titles. I don't know if they're gonna do Miz and Truth against the Finn Balor and Damian Priest. I just don't think that that Judgment Day should be dropping those tag titles to Miz and Truth. Like if they're gonna have that match at Mania, Judgment Day should win. I think Judgment Day should not drop those titles at all until they find a good babyface team to actually beat them. Whether it be DIY or, whomever. Someone, I don't know about Miz and Truth, man. The Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Austin Theory was there. Basically, it felt like the idea behind this. First of all, I want to quote a great man, Brian Last, who said that Seth Rollins' character is easy to understand if you pretend he's on PCP all the time. So that was funny. But what happened was, first Austin Theory's in the ring. He introduces Grayson Waller, bearing Australia and bearing the Vegemite and all that stuff. So what happens is, out comes Grayson Waller with the Australian flag, and then, he introduces Seth and Cody. They kind of talk back and forth about The Rock. I knew it was going to lead to some kind of confrontation. Cody actually challenges The Rock, and that was interesting because they did not. So I thought what they were going to do with this one is they were going to have the tag match made. But instead what happened was Cody challenged The Rock, and then Seth said, I'll be in your corner, basically. Like, I'll have your back. So I don't know if they're actually going to do The Rock and Cody, like on Raw. I doubt it. WrestleMania Night 1 is probably going to be Cody and Seth against Rock and Roman, and then Cody and Roman Night 2. And then, of course, Seth and the winner of the Men's Chamber on Night 2 as well. But this segment went on pretty long. Again, there's 4 matches, 5 major segments, and they made fun of Cody, and it pretty much ended with Austin Theory like jumping in and then like kind of picking on Cody and Seth was kind of laughing at him. This leads to basically Cody hits a Cody cutter. Like, well, first Seth puts him like head first into like one of the corner like Grayson Waller like plastic boards, like a sign. And then Cody does the Cody cutter, and then he's down, like sort of like on all fours, and Seth does the stomp. So this, and then Cody and Rollins shook hands. So they're gonna officially make that tag match, like probably this week. I would guess on SmackDown this week, if not next week, but it's gonna get announced. So then we had the Men's Chamber. So that was interesting. They chose to close the show with Rhea Ripley, which makes sense because she is the top draw for the show. She was the top promoted act, and that is the main event. So Rhea Ripley, is going back to her home country for the first time in 7 years, and they really played that up during that match, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. So the Men's Chamber, Drew McIntyre, as predicted, is going on to WrestleMania to face Seth Rollins on Night 2 for the World Heavyweight title. He defeated Randy Orton, Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, LA Knight, Bobby Lashley. And again, the guys worked hard, but there was nothing special about this match compared to last year's men's chamber. Remember how last year they had that spot with Montez Ford where everybody was like, okay, he's going to be a made guy. Like, there wasn't much of that here. Now, what wound up happening, and I want to say that Orton, there was a lot of really good character work here. Like, Kevin Owens really wanted to get at Logan Paul, and like they had that feud, which I thought they were going to do Kevin Owens, Logan Paul at WrestleMania in a rematch, but that's not what they're going to do because Logan Paul screwed Randy, there's a spot which was awesome where Logan Paul grabs the Nux and puts it on him, and the way the camera's framed, like you don't see the whole ring, and then from the right side of the camera, Randy dives in and hits the RKO and pins him clean. And that was awesome. That's just great directing. So it was down to Drew and Randy, and they kind of had their showing. And then as they were going back and forth, trading, near falls and false finishes, Logan Paul sneaks back in and hits Randy with the Nux. And then Drew pins him. Now, prior to that, LA Knight got screwed by AJ Styles. And I've been saying for months it's going to be AJ Styles and LA Knight. I told you that in December at WrestleMania. I said that on Twitter. I made videos about it. Well, I was right. Meanwhile, Dave Meltzer, I don't know what LA Knight's doing. He said that and multiple times, and I told you it was going to be LA Knight and AJ Styles. So that, again, bro, the Geekdom Observer. So that happens, and yeah. So Drew wins. He gets a big pyro, and I think what they're probably going to do, and I'll save this for like a predictions video in a few weeks. I don't think Drew's going to AEW or leaving WWE. I just don't see that because he just got a clean pin on Cody. Well, it wasn't clean, but he did get a pin on Cody. Like, that tells me he's not going anywhere. I think he's going to win the title at WrestleMania. I think he will beat Seth Rollins. And I think right afterward, Priest cashes in. I really do. I think that he's going to get his big win in front of a crowd and celebrate and be like, all right, I'm champion again. And then I think Priest will come out. I just have that feeling. I could be wrong. The cash-in could be saved for, a different show. Maybe the night after. But they have a chance. Or they could have Seth win, Drew gets mad, and then Priest cashes in. A lot of things they could do. So Triple H came out and said the attendance was like 52,590, something like that. And then the women's title was the show closer, Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax. They built up Rhea Ripley as the big star. She came out. There was a part where you could tell she was emotional. Her family was shown at ringside. It's one of those things where even though she's a heel on television, in Australia she's a babyface, and WWE is not hiding that. They're not hiding the fact she's a babyface in Australia. And so the whole thing was her headlining against this monster in her hometown. This match was very very 80s type of match where it's David and Goliath, the female version. Nia Jax is using her strength and size to keep knocking Ripley down, but Ripley's strong too. She tries to go for the Riptide 2 or 3 times in the match, but doesn't get it right. I think it was 2 times she got it wrong. Like, because Nia Jax is so big. They did now there were some parts of the match that felt a little bit clumsy. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely one of Nia Jax's better matches. I won't say it was the best match of her career or anything like that. I'm not even sure what that would be. Maybe one of the Alexa Bliss ones, but this was a lot of this was Ripley though. Like, it really was. And Ripley's a very large woman, bro. They're both big. But what happened was, they worked their way to the outside, and Ripley, first she tries to powerbomb Nia Jax, and that doesn't work. She ends up getting Samoan dropped on the table, but it doesn't break, which is worse. And then Nia Jax gets on the like one of the chairs, and I'm thinking, man, if she busts her ass right here, bro. She drops an elbow on Rhea Ripley, breaking the table, which, the crowd got their table spot. Then she puts Ripley in the ring and hits her with the bonsai drop. Now, I knew that Ripley was not going to lose here, but I think this was the when they were trying to give you that moment of doubt. I didn't work for me. Maybe it worked for some of you, but she kicked out. She kicked out. So she went for it again, but Ripley pushed her off, and then Ripley hit this big ass superplex because Nia goes back to the top, and it was a big superplex. And then Ripley kind of does like the dramatic I'm getting up, and she does the pose, and then she hits the riptide, gets the 1, 2, 3. There's a bunch of fireworks. Officially, it's Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Women's title, while Bayley and Io Sky is for the other title. And yeah, she celebrates with her family, and it was a big pyro show, and that was it. They didn't have Becky come out or confront her or anything. They got 7 weeks or whatever of TV, or 5 weeks. I think it's 5 weeks. 5 weeks of TV left. Yeah, it's 5 weeks before WrestleMania, so plenty of time to tell these stories. Plenty of time. This was an okay show. I'm not going to say it was a great show. It was a good show. Predictable, as I said, but they worked hard. The guys went out there and the gals did the best they could, but it wasn't. It's 4 matches for 3.5 hours. It wasn't terrible at all. I'm not saying it was bad. It was just okay. It was above average, but not that above average. There have been better chambers. So that's it. Those are my thoughts, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about in the coming days and weeks. Take care. Let me know what you thought down below. See you soon.